Number 10 on this list is AJ Ferrari. The Cowboy has some controversy behind him, and whether you like him or not, you got to admit he's one of the top wrestlers in the entire NCAA. This man came in last year as a freshman, the number 4 seed at the NCAA championships, beat the number 5, the number 1, and the number 6 seed to come out on top as the 197-pound NCAA champion. Quite impressive, I know. And on top of that, he had a 20-1 record last year, his lone loss coming to Noah Adams of West Virginia. And from there, I mean, he was just absolutely stunning at the NCAA championships as a freshman, which means he has even more chances to win a title in the future. If all of that doesn't impress you and you're thinking he's just the number 10 guy on this list, well, wait until you find out who the other 9 guys are. Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name is Josiah, and welcome to Fanco Wrestling, your source for college wrestling news and discussion. Today, talking about the top 10 guys in the entire NCAA, in the entire country. Doesn't matter the weight, pound for pound, number 1 through number 10. Number 10 was AJ Ferrari, and I think you're going to be shocked at the top 5, honestly. And you may even be shocked at like where I put Gable Steveson. Do you think he should be the number 1 wrestler in the country? Well, we'll find out in just a little bit, and I'll tell you. But first, I got to tell you that this segment is brought to you by the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. This is a guide that I have spent months putting together, getting input from wrestling fans like you, so I can put together the top 25 college wrestling teams with lineups, with previews of each of those teams and their conferences, top 8 contenders at every single weight in the NCAA, the incoming freshmen that you need to have your eye out for because they're going to make big waves, and so many more facts and stats on 40 plus pages in the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. This is something that you're going to want to get your hands on. This Friday is actually when it releases, so it's not out just yet. Keep your eyes out for October 29th. It's releasing for $9.99. This is like, I'm practically like giving this away. And if you can't tell, like, I'm super passionate about this because I know that after you read it, and I've already had a couple of fans read it, but after you read it, you're going to know everything you need to know about the upcoming season. I mean, this is a value of over $25 plus, and like I said, I'm practically giving it away at $9.99. So keep your eyes out for that. It's something that I know you're going to really enjoy. And with that said, let's move into the top 10 power rankings of the pound-for-pound guys. And the first thing that we have to discuss is the criteria for these guys. So what is the criteria for a pound-for-pound wrestler? I'm basing this off of a couple things, 5 main criteria, so you understand why I have each of these guys ranked where I do. So number 1, if you won an NCAA title, that trumps basically everything. I mean, to me, NCAA titles is what is the most important in college wrestling. Whether you've performed at NCAAs or not, it matters in these rankings. It doesn't necessarily say that you're going to do that again this year, but it's important. So the title trumps all. Next is the number of times that you've gotten on the stand, number of times you've All-American or placed. Recency, I think, has to play some sort of effect if you haven't wrestled in a couple years, or you made the finals in your freshman year and then haven't done it since. I think that has to play some importance into this. Your record, having the least amount of losses comparatively to guys, your bonus percentage and dominance. I mean, we know some guys are just absolutely dominant in the NCAA, and then a head-to-head, which to be honest, I don't think that came into effect with these top 10 guys that I can remember. So, first of all, who's not in these top 10? Miles Amin, Michael Kemmerer, Carter Starachi. What? Carter Starachi? Alex Marinelli, Mekhi Lewis, all not in the top 10. I mean, Mekhi and Starachi are NCAA champions, so how the heck are they not in the top 10? Okay, well, there are 12 national champions returning this year, and there are only 10 spots to give out. So the number 9 guy is Shane Griffith, who has a 64-3 career record. He has more losses on his career record than AJ Ferrari, but he's been wrestling for a couple of more years. So he has 2 losses. 2 of those losses are actually just during his redshirt year. So, I mean, exclude that redshirt year, and he has even a better percentage winning record. He was 28-0 in the 2020 season before NCAAs were canceled. Who knows what could have happened there? We don't know what would have happened, but we do know last year he had an impressive run at NCAAs and an impressive season when he beat Alex Marinelli, Zach Hartman, and then he went on to beat Jake Wenzel in the finals by a 6-2 decision. he's a relatively high bonus point percentage, but that's why he's number 9 on this list. And at number 8 spot is David Carr. And what's interesting here is there are a lot of young guys on this list comparatively to other years. Usually, like the top 10 pound for pound guys, you get a lot of veterans, right? You get a lot of the guys that have been wrestling 3, 4, 5 years. And there are a few guys, like I already said, like the Ironmans, the Marinellis, who just haven't quite cracked that top 10. I mean, it's tough for me to not think of them as top 10. I mean, they're that caliber guy, right? In the country, but like these 10 are the guys who won NCAA championship. So David Carr really made a name for himself at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas tournament a couple years ago, and he's been pushing the pace ever since. I mean, that was his last loss. It was at the Cliff Keen in 2019. He's routed off 33 straight wins since that time, including his win in the NCAA finals. His last loss was to Ryan Deacon at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas. Now, last year, he came in as the number 3 seed at the NCAA championships, finished at number 1, obviously, after defeating Hayden Hidley, who was the number 2 seed, and Jesse De La Vecchia of Ryder, who was the number 4 seed. So, I mean, quite impressive. Unfortunately, last year, what we didn't get was the Deacon versus Carr rematch that everybody wanted. I still want to see what happens there, and who knows? I mean, could Deacon upset him? I mean, Carr's a top 10 pound-for-pound guy in the country. Hidley's out of the way. Jesse De La Vecchia's out of the way now. So what's going to happen there with David Carr in 157 pounds? Aaron Brooks, 29-1 career record. He actually had a couple of losses as a freshman in his redshirt year. But actually, it wasn't even his redshirt year. He was training at the Titan Mercury and wrestled a couple of collegiate tournaments. So that actually didn't even count in all of his rankings and stats. So anyway, he started off a little bit rocky as a freshman. He had a loss to Taylor Venz, who he lost to in the duel, but later pinned at the Big Ten Championships. That was the 2020 season. And this season, past season, 2021, he actually defeated him twice. So showing that it's not just a fluke. He just keeps getting better and better and better, and he's not going to lose the guys that he's lost to, or the one guy that he's lost to in his college career. And we'll see if he's able to continue up. Now, impressively, and what puts him at that number 7 spot is he's won 7 out of his 14 matches last season, won 7 of them, so half of them, by bonus points. That is just pure dominance. And I know that Trent Hidley gave him kind of a tough finals match, and we'll see if we get a rematch of that at 184 pounds this year. But he still held on and won the title. And he's somebody, Brooks, with his extra eligibility, he's somebody who can still win multiple titles. It'll be interesting to see how he does this season. But next up is actually another Penn State wrestler at number 6. And listen, don't get on me about the Penn State bias or whatever, because like these are some of the top guys based on those criteria, based on those statistics. RBY. So listen, him and actually a couple of the upcoming guys have a couple of more losses than the previous. So like Aaron Brooks only had 1 loss, 29-1. David Carr only had 2 losses. But the thing is, like guys like RBY and the upcoming guys on this list, they've been wrestling for a few more years. So yes, they're going to have a few more losses, but their winning percentage is actually pretty good. And they've actually All-American a couple of times already, proving that they are those top pound-for-pound guys. RBY's his career record is 59-9 heading into this season. His 7 losses actually came during his freshman year. And they weren't like bad losses. They were to Austin DeSanto, Luke Pletcher, Ernest C. Lezat. So all those guys were All-Americans, and RBY still found a way to get onto the stand in his freshman year when he placed 8th at NCAAs. And last year, or 2 years ago, in 2020, he lost to Seth Gross and Sebastian Rivera. And who knows what he could have done at NCAAs. Again, the 2020 season with the canceled NCAAs, who knows about any of that. Last year, he was undefeated, 14-0, won 5 of his matches by bonus. Now, the thing about it is, yeah, he won 5 of his matches by bonus, but last season, it was like all tough opponents, right? Like sometimes, a lot of times, the first couple matches of the season, you may have like a cupcake kind of team. And I say cupcake just like in football, right? You schedule an easy first match, maybe you have an easy homecoming match, but like last year, you didn't have that. So it's tougher to get bonus on guys in the 2021 season. He has wins over the number 2, number 4, and number 6 guys at his weight heading into this upcoming season, which is darn impressive. So number 5, let's move on to the top 5 pound-for-pound wrestlers. And starting off at the number 5 is Austin O'Connor, who will be joining the 100 wins club this year. He has a 92-10 career record with 9 of his losses, 9 of those 10 losses coming during his redshirt year and redshirt freshman year. So that just shows that he's getting better and better and better over time. And all those losses, similar to RBY's losses, were all to All-Americans. Talking about Fine Silver, Micah Jordan, Kolodzic, Pat Lugo. And actually, that was his last loss. It was at Midlands, which I was actually there for that match. I was able to watch. I mean, what a match that was between Lugo and O'Connor. That was the last loss that O'Connor actually had, because since that time, he's been rocking and rolling to an NCAA title. He's sitting at this as a number 10 guy because of his 2-time All-American placement, just like RBY, who placed 8th and then 1st. Austin O'Connor placed 3rd in 2019. And then he won the title last year. He's 13-0 last year, won 6 of his matches, 6 out of 13 by bonus points. And I think the thing with Austin O'Connor, to be honest with you, he doesn't get a lot of the recognition I think he deserves, because he doesn't necessarily do anything crazy or flashy or even that fun compared to other guys, but he comes out with these wins. He's going to destroy a guy who's not like top 10, but he's going to have some close matches with guys that are in those top 10. He may squeak out a win or a couple point decision, but he does find a way to get the victory. And this year he's bumping up to 157 pounds, so we're going to see him take on David Carr and Ryan Deacon, Ja'Cory Teamer. I mean, new opponents. Can he stay in the top 5? Can he keep his win streak alive? I mean, he's got nothing to lose. It's going to be fun to watch him. And then at number 4, and like I said, some of these things may surprise you. Maybe they don't. Number 4 is actually another Penn State guy, and it's the last Penn State guy on this list, all right? But it's a guy who deserves to be here, and we already have a few Penn State guys I already mentioned. But 3rd, Penn State guy in the top 10, 4th in top 11, is 3-time All-American Nick Lee, who placed 5th, and then 1st last year. He won the NCAA title with a 97-13 career record. Impressive. His only 2 losses in the last 2 seasons were to Luke Pletcher, who, to be honest with you, I think probably would have won the NCAA championships the year in 2020, and Jaden Ironman, who was an NCAA finalist last year. Nick Lee lost to Ironman in the Big Ten championships in the finals. But Nick Lee does have win over the number 2 through the number 6 guys in the country. That's impressive. That is super impressive. But I think what impresses me most, and I remember doing a calculation for this for like an Instagram graphic that I made up, but all the bonus points that Nick Lee scores. I mean, he is a bonus point machine. And I just calculated up last year's matches. 169 points he scored on his opponents last year, and he only let up 37. That, my friends, is darn impressive. Yeah, he gave away some of those points just from like letting guys up or whatever, but 169 points he was able to score on his opponents. I love watching Nick Lee wrestle, and we'll see if he keeps it up this season. Into the top 3 pound-for-pound guys in the country. Gable Steveson. Ooh, yikes. Are you going to yell at me? Gable Steveson, number 3? Okay, why is he number 3? Let me explain myself. So, the top 2 guys are guys who have won multiple NCAA titles. Gable hasn't yet done that in college wrestling. He's won a college title, and he did it in dominant fashion. Like, don't think I'm discrediting Gable Steveson in any regards. And if we're basing this on international criteria, yeah, he's probably one of the toughest guys he is one of the toughest guys in college wrestling right now. Period. End of story. Based on his international career, he's had the best international success, really. I mean, an Olympic champion over the summer, unbelievable. But based on his college career, he has a 97% bonus point percentage, which, 97% winning percentage. If he had 97% bonus, that'd be unbelievable. He did have 100% bonus heading into the NCAA championships, and I think even the NCAA quarterfinals last year, whenever he finally let up a decision and then a decision in the finals to Mason Parris. But his bonus is unbelievable. He finished at 82% bonus point last season. I mean, just and not just like, oh, he goes out there, he gets a tech or a major, or, close major. He is like pinning guys in like 30 seconds. Pinning guys, running back off the mat, jumping in the WWE ring. And like Nick Lee, who scored a bunch of points, Gable scored over 200 points on his opponents last season in the abbreviated season, mind you, in the abbreviated season. So who's number 1 and number 2? If you haven't guessed it yet, it's between Yani and Spencer Lee. Who's number 1? Who's number 2? And I want to hear from you. Like, who should be number 1 and number 2? Or should it be Gable? Should Gable be number 1? Let's look and compare each of them. So, Yani of Cornell hasn't wrestled since the 2019 NCAA Finals. So, like I said, recency's got to play some effect. But he's a 2-time NCAA champion, coming back this year to win another title, win his 3rd title. And Spencer obviously has already won 3 NCAA titles. Now, Yani actually has the better record over Spencer Lee. He's 66-1, a career record. Spencer's 75-5. Yani's only loss is actually to Spencer's teammate, Jaden Ironman. That was his last loss, and since then, Yani has just been winning, except for the last couple years when he's been off. So, 37-1 season, the 1 year in his freshman year, 29-0 season his following year. It's kind of tough to beat that when Spencer Lee has those few losses. Now, granted, Spencer's last loss was in 2019 to Sebastian Rivera. He has a better bonus percent overall. Won 15 of his matches in a row from last season to this season. The streak, 15 matches in a row by bonus point. And he was so close, this close to doing it in the NCAA Finals when he won 7-0. I mean, oh my gosh, so close. 1 point off. And overall, he was 92% bonus point. And that's why like he and Gable shared the Hodge Trophy last season because of their incredibly high bonus point percentage and complete dominance. 2-time Hodge Trophy winner. So I'm putting Spencer Lee as the number 1 pound-for-pound guy in the entire country, with behind him is Yani Diakomahalis. Now, did you know that Spencer Lee doesn't actually have the longest NCAA winning streak out of all these guys? And if you're interested in finding out who has the longest winning streak and so many more stats, like I said at the beginning of this video, top 25 ranked teams, top 8 contenders each way, you're going to want to check out the Ultimate Guide to the College Wrestling Season. It's only available for a short period of time, so make sure you get your hands on it while you can, coming out this week.